My older sister announced that she was actually my biological mother, and that the parents who raised us had just been covering up her teenage pregnancy. She then expected me to donate part of my liver to save her husband, so I walked out of the hospital and cut her off completely. My mom and dad died in a car crash when I was 22. It was sudden. I was the one who handled the funeral arrangements, the estate, everything. My older sister, Clara, was the one who showed up late to the service and immediately asked about the life insurance payout. I never said anything about it. They were gone, and she was the only family I had left. I got engaged 3 years later to a man named David. We bought a house. Life was finally feeling normal again. Supposedly, Clara was happy for me. 2 months ago, I got a frantic call from her. Her husband, Greg, was in liver failure. He needed a partial transplant immediately, and neither she nor their kids were a match. She begged me to get tested. I drove straight to the hospital. We sat in the sterile cafeteria. She bought me a terrible coffee. Then she told me there was something I needed to know. I assumed it was about Greg's prognosis. She said no. She said it was about my parents. She said mom and dad were not my biological parents. She said she was. She said she had gotten pregnant at 16, and our parents had agreed to raise me as their own to protect her reputation. She said it the way someone announces a change in the weather. I did not speak for a minute. I asked her if anyone else had known. She said of course they did. All our aunts and uncles knew. I asked her if she had a single piece of evidence. She slid a folded piece of hospital stationery across the table. It was a DNA test she had ordered online years ago, showing a maternal match between us. I sat there holding that paper. I asked her why she was telling me this right now. She said because the doctors told her that direct children have a higher chance of being an organ match, and as her biological daughter, it was my duty to save her husband. I drove home. I did not cry until I got into the driveway. I called David, who came out to the car. We sat in the front seat and I told him everything. He asked me one question. He asked what our dad's voice would say if I could play a recording right now. I started crying harder, because that was exactly what I needed to hear. The next morning, I drove to the bank to open the safe deposit box my parents had left me. I had kept the key on my keychain for years but never opened it. There were birth certificates, old photos, and a manila folder labeled with my name. Inside the folder was a letter dated a month before they died and legal adoption papers. I opened the letter. It said this: they had loved me. They had raised me because Clara had wanted to give me up to the state, and they couldn't bear to lose me. They hadn't told me because they didn't want me to feel like a mistake. In the last paragraph, my dad wrote that if Clara ever tried to use her biology to manipulate me, I should know 2 things. He said 1, DNA doesn't make a mother, devotion does. He said 2, Clara had signed away every single parental right the day I was born. I drove back to the hospital. I found Clara in the waiting room. I told her I was not getting tested. I told her I was not a match for her family. I told her if she ever contacted me again, my lawyer would handle it. She told me I was being selfish and letting a man die. I told her she had 25 years to be a mother, and she had chosen to be a stranger instead. I walked out. David and I got married last month. Clara wasn't there. Greg ended up getting a transplant from an anonymous donor, but I haven't spoken to them since that day in the cafeteria. The life insurance money my parents left me is sitting in a trust for my future children. Real children, who will always know exactly who their parents are.